Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lauren's Take. Oh wait, one second. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, hey everyone, and welcome back. So, as I promised, I am going to be reviewing the first two episodes of the Percy Jackson and the Olympians show. I watched it yesterday on the 20th with my peeps, who are also huge demigods like myself, and I absolutely loved it. But let's just get into it. I have somewhere to go, unfortunately, as I'm dressed for. I have to go to a funeral, unfortunately. But we're going to try to do this video real quick and really try to give, my main thoughts, my main, things, the only things that I would have modified a tad, also standout performances, and then go from there and talk about what I'm excited about for the rest of the season. So let's get into it, but make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and let's get into it. All right, so I'm not going to go into a full synopsis. You should have read the book by now. I'm not going into that. Seeing that the show actually came out on Tuesday at 9 o'clock, I was very upset that I had to wait till 2 p.m. yesterday. So your girl was waiting a good how many hours? 12? It's a many hours, at least like 15, 16 hours or so to watch the show, past the time I had already been waiting to watch it. But I was so excited about the show overall. You all know that, I've been doing a lot of videos for the trailer reaction, or for my trailer, for the trailers that came out, my reaction to those. Also just talking about it in multiple videos, like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. I have been literally consumed by Percy Jackson press for the past week and a half instead of doing work like I should have been doing. But I'm not going to apologize for it because it was totally worth it. I think, all of the hype, all of the all the preparation I did and for the show was worth it. I completely loved the show. I thought it was perfect. I thought it's not perfect, but it was really well done. I just loved the actors in it. They were just doing a phenomenal job. Oh my gosh, Walker is Percy. Oh my gosh, the fact that anybody was like, the fact that people were literally coming for Walker simply because he didn't look like Percy. Like, I think we all had our first, like, oh no, it doesn't look like Percy. But then I remember, like, I think Rick posted, and I talk about this a lot, Rick posted his thing on Reed Riordan, and he was like, it doesn't matter what he looks like, it's more so how he embodies the character. And so I think Walker just ate completely. Arian ate completely. Leah ate completely. Like, our main three, they just amazing. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of them. Oh my gosh, I'm going all over the place, but I think the main thing that I really do want to kind of talk about is the just the first episode. The first episode, I will say, it was a little slow, but I think that's also because the first few chapters are a little slow. I mean, aside from the attack with Mrs. Dodds and whatnot, but I think it's like one of those things that I liked the first episode, aside from I think there were only two things that, like, well, kind of three things that, like, my friends and I, we were talking about after the show, after we finished watching it, and then also, like, things that I just kind of noticed. Well, one thing I was interested in is kind of like how Sally's represented. So we know Sally's, like, of course, Percy's mom, who is literally the sweetest person ever. Couldn't hurt a fly. Like, she's just overly sweet. Like, she's not one to, like, yell at you, not one to get angry at you, not one to kind of come at you, none of that. And so the Sally that we get in the show, she's a little sassy, right? And I don't mind it. I'm like, yes, stick up for yourself. Yes, come at them. I like how she's kind of no nonsense, but I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's just a different take than I thought we were going to get with Sally. And I think it was one of the things that, I don't think I talked about it in a video, but it was one of the things that I kind of paid attention to in one of the trailers, like her saying, Perseus, that moment, like, I'm like, oh, government name. Like, it's kind of off because I don't think Sally ever called Percy Perseus in the series, like, ever. And I think it's that whole nother level of, like, get your life right. And I think, I don't know, it's interesting. I'm not mad at it. It's just, it's very different than what I was expecting. I don't know if anyone else felt that way. But that was just, like, one of the big things that I was like, don't know. Smelly Gabe, he wasn't smelly enough for me. I don't the funny thing about this is, like, my friends and I were really talking about that. Like, he's not that, like, he's annoying and he's a jerk, but I don't think he's not that level of, like, you want to just smack him, you know yourself, right? Because when you're reading the book, you're just like, oh, I can't stand this guy and he's disgusting and nah. But you didn't really see that. Like, yes, he was just sitting in a recliner on his laptop playing poker. And I thought it was interesting that he was just playing imaginary poker. I think this is kind of what they were saying. This is meant to be in this time that is written, or when that is being made. Not back in 2005 when the books were made. But I think it is one of those things that it's kind of interesting. Another interesting take on a character that I think he could have done a little bit more, just a little bit more disturbing, a little bit more disgusting, you know, because looking at him, he's not not in that way, but it's more like he's not revolting, you know, at all. Like, I don't really get that. Because Smelly Gabe is kind of like that picture of, like, Percy just, you know, can't standing him. Especially because that's why Sally married Gabe, to protect Percy, because his smell was so revolting. So I think if we're not showing that, I wonder how they're going to kind of change that later in the show. But that was, like, one of the biggest things that I was like, eh. And the other thing that I was kind of like, about, the scene with Mrs. Dodds, I was expecting a little bit more, like, yelling, a lot more, like, fighting, running away, and stuff like that. Like, it was cool that it was outside, but I think it could have been a little bit more involved, just because that is, like, such a huge moment where Percy's like this. They really made it about Percy pushing Nancy, even though he didn't push her. It was the water. It's water coming out of nowhere and, you know, pulling her back. It just looked kind of off. I don't know if that's necessarily them. I think it's just the editing. I don't know what happened. It could have been a little more extreme. That's just me. Just a little more intense to kind of really show the stakes. But maybe this is also, like, I say all this, but I think also reflecting on all I've read and all I've seen, Disney said it's not going to be that scary. So I wonder if they're trying to calm it down so that kids can watch it, so they won't be traumatized. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. I think it's just sad for us, that the adults who are watching the show now, because we're like, darn it, we wanted that scene, you know? Because poor Percy had to go through that. But I was also saying to my friends, because they were all, like, really confused about that, and I was like, well, maybe, like, we're going to get more of it in, like, the quest. Like, maybe they're saving it up for really the quest, so those scenes are, like, really huge and really, momentous. But yeah, I think that was, like, it. And then the Minotaur scene, I think what was weird about the Minotaur scene is just, like, the emotions were there, the things were happening, but they were happening, like, really far apart instead of just, like, all at once. Like, definitely the car chase was definitely intense. I think that was good, but I think the problem that I had was just the whole scene of the Minotaur just staying there for a bit, and the fact that Sally and Percy could have this long heart-to-heart. Like, it was this really long heart-to-heart, and in actuality, like, Percy definitely could have gotten over to Camp Half-Blood, or crossing Half-Blood Hill, the boundary of Half-Blood Hill, and then his mom probably could have gotten away, but it was just how it was going. It was kind of I don't know. It was a little weird, a little off. But, you know, I think that's, like, really it. I think I'm not really that pressed about it, but I think I think those are, like, the big things that I was like, It was more so in the first episode than the second episode. The second episode was phenomenal. Like, I don't think I have any faults with it, any problems with it. I think it was just episode 1. I think they were getting their footing. So that's what I'm going to put it on. They were getting their footing. So I don't want to, like, and please let me know in the comments, like, what you think about the first episode in terms of those, like, 4 things. So the Mrs. Dodd scene, the Minotaur scene, and then Sally and Gabe in general. One thing that I thought was really crazy, though, is that Grover throwing Percy on the bus to really save him, but then Percy not realizing. I think that added so much more to it. Like, I think it added the stakes. It added this, point of Percy, like, not, like, really trusting Grover, because there was a point where Percy was like, I don't know about this guy. I really don't know. I'm a little, but I think it kind of adds that aspect, and kind of them having to rebuild that trust and that friendship, because Percy now really feels alone. And I think we really get to see that when he's in Camp Half-Blood, and kind of managing and trying to find his footing meet different people, talk to different people. So I think that's really cool. I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, I loved how Percy already had Riptide, because I think it made more sense. Like, I loved how Chiron already gave it to him and was just like, here you go, keep that, and he knew to use it because he was like, oh, wait, let me do this, in the Mrs. Dodd scene. And then also later on, it makes more sense for him to have it, because I remember that's kind of the weird part in the Minotaur scene, because actually Percy, I don't think, had Riptide yet officially. Yeah, I don't think he had Riptide yet officially, but now he fully officially has it. So I think that's kind of the cool part of it. But yeah, anyway, let's talk episode 2 real quick. Episode 2, the Mr. D scene. Oh my god, that scene was pure comedy, just pure comedy. Because I remember we got the clip of, like, right before, he goes into the spiel of, like, being Percy's dad and whatnot. And it's so funny to me because it's just like, this man is so horrible. Like, we love him so much, but it's just really funny to me. That was so well done. Jason Mazukas, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is literally Mr. D. I think one of my friends and I were like, when we saw that casting, we're like, oh my gosh, that was like actually the perfect casting. It was just perfect. And he's insane. He's hilarious. Love him. And then also just, I loved the whole thing of Grover, having that conversation with Chiron and Mr. D, and they're like, we're not going to tell Percy that his mom's okay. He was like, that's so wrong though. And they're like, no, it's not about that. And then, at the end of the episode, Grover's like, no, Percy, this is what actually happened. You need to take this quest, yes, to save the Master Belt, but also to get your mom. I love that because it shows Grover, like, Arian kept talking about in interviews the importance of Grover's empathy and his connection and him understanding people, and having that scene demonstrated that so perfectly, because we have that scene later on when Percy tells Grover, he's like, no, I'm really on this quest because I want to save my mom. He's like, oh, I know, Percy. I think it makes more sense for him to be like, no, we're going to do this for you, like, and kind of do it in front of Chiron and Mr. D, because I feel we kind of started to see the, like, problems with the Olympian gods, and start seeing the problem with, like, a lot of the Greek figures at that time, like Greek mythological figures. And so being able to have that moment where Grover is kind of going against them to really care about Percy as a person, not as, just like, oh, he's just a hero that we can just kind of, just like put him on a quest, hope for the best, right? Not that Chiron is like that, but I think at times he may forget that. And I think Grover doing that was so huge. And I really love this new detail in the show that they did. I think that was just well done. I also really love Annabeth. Oh my gosh, let's talk about Leah. That's my girl. I'm so proud of her. Oh my gosh. As I've been watching the interviews, like, I knew she was Annabeth, but like watching the interviews, she is so Annabeth, y'all. She's so Annabeth, and the three of them are literally the main trio. Like, it is so crazy to me how much they are like their characters, and their banter in real life is literally the characters, and it's perfection. I love it. But our girl, she's slayed. Like, I think as soon as she was introduced, we were like, oh, here we go. The funny thing, though, when she was like, you drool when you sleep, I don't know what I was imagining for that scene, but that really cracked me up. It wasn't meant to make me laugh, but it just made me laugh. Because he was like, who are you? Or something. I think that's what he was like, who are you? And then she was like, you drool when you sleep. And it was like this kind of like, you drool when you sleep. Like, it was kind of funny. But I loved it. I was like, yes, here we go. And so I love how she is the boss lady on camp, like at camp. It's the fact that she's 12 years old and she is that girl. Like, I love that. Like, Dior was saying that about Leah at the premiere. She was like, because Leah is that girl. And she is that girl. Like, when I was just looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be Leah when I grow up, because she is eating up this whole entire show. Like, she is just slaying. And I just love what she's doing with Annabeth, where she's just so, like, straightforward, matter of fact. Like, Percy's like, are you stalking me, Annabeth? And she's like, yes. Like, she's like, yep, I am. and I have a purpose behind it. And it's like her constantly moving, like her brain always being like Luke said, she's always 6 steps ahead of everyone. And I think, oh my gosh, the dialogue is so connected to the characters. Like, they spend some time on this show, y'all, and you can tell, especially with what the characters say, and then when you see the actors as the characters embodying that and doing that, it is so great. And so Leah is just, I just love her. She is just slaying. And she adds, like, you know, she's just like, you know, come on, this is the real situation, right? She's not playing around. And I love that. I think it's just so perfect. Chef's kiss is amazing, right? And I just, she's just slaying. Oh my gosh. And that really brings me back to Luke real quick, because that Charlie as Luke is slaying. What I love, but I'm going to come to just be like, ugh, later on, because they did this to us, is the fact that Charlie as Luke out here saying, no, Annabeth's my little sister. Oh, hands down, she is my little sister. We have each other's back. We are family. We are that for each other. What was so great about this is, like, you know, can you tell, like, Annabeth to get off my butt? He was like, what? No. She knows what she's doing. Period. And I love that. I love that. Like, oh, that feels so good in my spirit. Like, I don't know what it I don't know what it is. Like, it is just so well done. Like, I just love how Luke is like, Annabeth is that girl, right? Like, everybody knows she's that girl. She knows what she's doing. She has led her team, and that they changed the detail where she's like led our team to victory 3 times in a row. And we're about to get a 4th. And then I love that moment between Annabeth and Luke. She was like, today feel like a winning day to you? He was like, I'll see you on the other side. I was like, I just love this. I love this. This dynamic is like perfection. It was so cute. Oh my gosh. And then capture the flag. Let's just talk capture the flag real quick, because yes. That was so good. It was just so cool. It was so well done. It was so, like, how they had it, you know, format. I think this was like one of the coolest moments in the show, because this is such a huge part in the book, because of course it ends in Percy's claiming as being Poseidon's son. And what's so cool is just, like, you know, Annabeth and Percy have this little conversation, and they're just talking, and Percy's just talking. He's just trying to tell her who he is. And then she was like, Percy, you don't know where you fit into all of this. Like, come on, this is like the biggest thing. And they have this great dialogue, right? And then I knew that this was going to happen, but it happened earlier than I thought it was going to happen. But it makes sense that it was in the scene, because they said armor. And so Annabeth, like, looks at his armor strap, and is like kind of taken apart. And then she's like, and then just fix it for him. And it's like such the pure Percy-Beth moment right there. The pure Percy-Beth moment. Perfection. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about that real quick before I get into just capture flag in general. They, like, Leah and Walker, the chemistry is so huge. And it was so funny because, again, I think when I was watching the interviews, I was like trying to see their dynamics, right? Like, I just want to make sure they're good. I want to make sure everyone's taken care of. I want to make sure everything's fine. You know, I feel so protective of these kids. Like, literally, you come for them, you come for me. Like, it is crazy how much I, like, have, with watching everything for the show in terms of preparation, and watching everything in terms of when they were filming, when the news was out, you know, when the news that the show was happening, when the cast came out, everything. Like, I've been so invested. And so I think I'm so protective of these kids, and I love them so much. But anyway, the fact that Walker and Leah as Percy-Beth, they are just, it's the stares for me. It's the looks, it's the glances, it's the really trying to figure each other out for me. The fact that these two kids, who are both 14 now, they're both 14. I think when they were filming, Leah was 12 for like half the shoot, or a lot of the shoot, and then turned 13. Walker was 13 for a majority of the shoot, or yeah, I think, or probably for the whole shoot. The fact that they were that young and were able to create that, like, those I can't even do it right for y'all, right? But they, like, if anyone has not paid attention to it, like, Amber and I've been watching like so many edits for it because we're just obsessed, right? But it's like it's the looks at one another that they have, because like Walker's Percy is just looking, he's just like, and then Leah is just like, I'm really trying to figure you out. And I think that makes so much sense when we're thinking about them trying to, kind of figure out who this person is, right? Because they know there's something about them. I think they both acknowledge there's something, right? And I think it's so great because we're already kind of getting that them observing each other to the point that they're going to know each other so well that they don't even have to tell each other anything. They just know. They're ready to go. And I love that. Oh my gosh, they are doing phenomenal. I mean, I think it's literally the fact that we got that much Percabeth in the second episode. So the first episode when they're together and everything, and we got that much tea. Like, there was so much tea in that episode. I loved it. And she was like, oh, you're with me, sunshine. Like, hold up, what? What? Your girl is so happy about all the Percabeth. It is just, it's just gonna get better from here. Cause as soon as Cisco says seaweed brain, and as soon as my voice says wise girl, it's over. Right? I cannot wait for that. I think it's gonna be so exciting. But the capture the flag whole sequence is hilarious. Walker as Percy, literally doing flossing, peeing, all the things that he was doing. Petting the gecko was just adorable. We are all crying laughing over that scene. And I remember seeing this clip like on Twitter when it was on there for like 5 minutes, and it was so good. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Oh my gosh. He's like, that whole scene was like Percy personified, right? Like, it was just pure Percy, and I loved it so much. But I'm like, what else is he supposed to do? That makes sense, because literally in the book he's just like, okay, I've told me to come here, I'm gonna do this, hope for the best, I don't know what I'm really doing. And the whole fight sequence though, when Clarice came in, Dave ran and everything, that was one of the best fight scenes we had seen so far in the show. Dior as Clarice, she is eating that role up. She is doing the thing, right? And my friends and I were talking about how, like, she doesn't, in terms of like what Clarice is kind of looked at is, is kind of different, but I think what Dior brings to it is like, she's like, oh, you coming for me, okay, because you think you're that girl, you think you're that guy, you think you're that, right? Okay, no, you're not, right? And she is like, no way. That scream though, when Percy broke that scream was so perfectly done. I was like, chow. I was so scared for Percy in that moment. And I think what's so funny is I kept hearing about the scene because Walker was like, when that happened, I was like actually scared for my life, because the look Dior gave him at that moment, he was like, oh God. She like really became Clarice in that moment. And I think that was just so huge. And I was like, yes, Dior girl, yes. I just really, really, really just loved the show. Glenn Turman is Chiron. I love him. He's so great. Amazing. I already talked about Mr. D. I'm trying to think about like any other major things. Not so much. Love the end sequence of the show. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. But I'm excited for episode 3. I'm so excited for episode 3. But anyway, let me get my final rating. This is, I was able to, keep it going. We're at 23 minutes. I was trying to tell myself, Lauren, don't go past 25, so let's hurry up. So the biggest thing that I would say, I will give the first episode, I was telling my friends like 7.85, but I really sat and thought about it. I'm like, I don't think it's even that low. I don't, that doesn't sit right in my spirit. I'm going to give the first episode, for the weird things that I don't know how I really feel about it, I'm going to give it about an 7.9 out of 10, right? For the second episode though, 10 out of 10. Hands down. So an overall rating of, I don't know. Let me I think I want to do a solid 9.2 out of 10. I'm doing random math, but I don't want to give it lower than a 9, because no, absolutely not. I cannot wait for episode 3. Stay tuned. Since the shows now come out on Tuesdays at 9 p.m., your girl will be watching when they premiere, so I will be making sure to get the videos out to you on Wednesdays. Let's hope that Lauren continues it. I will be going back to school eventually, but that's the plan. Thank you for checking this out, but let's go into the end credits. All right, everyone, thank you for watching the first review for the Percy Jackson and the Olympians show. I hope you all enjoy it. Again, please comment down below your thoughts of the show. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I'm so excited to keep seeing our kids doing amazing things. Make sure to keep, hitting up the cast, cheering them on. They're doing an amazing job. And again, comment down below, but let's just, end this video. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down. That's just rude. Also, subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel already. And I shall see you in the next one. All right. Bye-bye.